And the idea is with people living in extreme poverty, your typical means of finding them are not sufficient. So if you call a meeting, if you come into a community and you call a meeting, they will typically not be invited. They may be migrating, or they may be engaged in other activities and not able to join. So the idea is to really reach out into the community and do some good community mobilization to try and some poverty participatory rural appraisal in order to identify the poorest households in a given community and do a couple levels of verification to identify, to ensure that you've really got the poorest populations. You're going with a team a day in advance and you are talking to village leaders and saying, we're going to come back tomorrow, we'd like to learn more about your community. Can you get a smattering of different people from different categories? So men and women, equal balance, young and old, poor and rich. We'd like to get a whole, variety of people. Then you come back with your team on the following day and you ask them to draw a map using a stick in the mud and ask them where's the water body, where's the main road, where are the side roads, etc., until you've got a pretty clear map, even down to the very household. And then you do poverty wealth ranking, whereby you say to the community, okay, here's Pablo's house and this is Jose's house, who's poorer? And then it's a carefully moderated process to ensure there's no domination from any particular character in the community, and they tell you, well, Pablo's richer than Juan, so you put them in two different categories. And eventually you go through the entire community, do that poverty wealth ranking, and you emerge with 4 to 5 categories of different wealth categories, and then do some verification to make sure that holds true. I mean, resources are always the biggest challenge. Sometimes in funny ways. So sometimes in Paraguay we worked with a project where they had already committed to people that they would provide 3 years of cash assistance. So if our idea is to start people on cash assistance and graduate them off of that during the project period, but they've already been guaranteed that support, it's no good pulling that out from under, the rug out from under them. So what do you do then? How do you develop a program that builds sustainability when you've got this sort of piece of the puzzle that won't go away? You would just talk about how those monthly payments would be used as capital to invert into a livelihood activity, increase savings for your household, increase investment in household expenses. So you would still have your coach who would be joining you, and the hope was that the coach could help you, guide you through some strategies for how you use that as productively as possible. Typically it's one coach per 30 to 50 participants. It kind of just depends on how geographically spread they are. So how do you do that if you're a cash-strapped social protection program? So if the cash isn't available or you think there are different kinds of strategies that you might be able to utilize, you might, if you're using savings and credit groups, we're starting to explore how can that credit group serve as a coaching function. Can there be a mentor from that group? Can there be a mentor from a previous cycle of livelihood activity who's now graduated, if you like, and can come back and offer support to certain people? Can you have government extension workers who have other tasks but maybe are able to add a coaching visit on a bi-weekly basis? Can you use technology? So is it sufficient, especially in urban areas where there's a lot of mobility, etc.? Can people text you or call you every week as opposed to visiting your household? All of these are money-saving efforts as well as hopefully greater efficiency.